What's up, guys? So, a couple of nights ago, I became curious, and honestly, I discovered this by accident. And I was showing someone the article of that one stream that I had to break up into like four parts because my connection kept crashing, and it was about International Women's Day. Well, I showed that to someone, and then we went through the whole list, and I was sharing with them my opinion live. I didn't show them the stream or anything. I just told them on the go the things that I was saying, and then they were sharing their thoughts with me, and I'm like, cool, we're on the same page now. But while we were looking at that, I found a website that, of course, I knew it existed, but I had never looked at it, and it's mectal.com. And then I love it because I was just, like I said, I was curious. And one of the things that I saw somewhere, I think it has to be in the opening page. But, anyways, it's about how it says that the only way you can sign up is if you are a man, and if you are a lady, you can go or something like that. Dang, I can't find it now because I had the page on my phone. But anyways, an article that caught my eye that I'm going to discuss today is the 25 lies that women tell men. And I read through this post, and I have to say, a lot of it makes so much sense, and it's stuff that I hadn't even considered. So, what I'm going to do is shoot, I forgot to do this, but I will, when the stream is over, I'll link it in the description. And then, yeah, let's run down this list. It gives a little intro, but I'm going to skip through it. But number one says that the 25 lies that men tell women. Okay. All men ever think about is the deed. And this one is obvious to any man who has had any contact at all with women because the woman will tell him exactly that. This isn't a lie per se because women actually believe it. The fact is, men often do indeed think about it. This isn't necessarily a bad thing unless thoughts turn into unwanted attention on the part of the thinker. Thinking about it is a part of nature's plan, for without it, there would be no human race. All I have to say about that is that as a woman myself, I mean, the deed is in my mind pretty often, although I don't even have experience with it. I understand that I am wired at some point to have urges and impulses because that's the whole point of life, to keep living. If you don't perform the act, your species simply cannot continue. But I can see what he's saying, and I have to agree because women just do that. I used to be like that, like in my younger years, because everyone in my school, every girl who I was around, would tell me that all of their guys' friends would be that way. I didn't have any guy friends really, so I took their word for granted, and then I grew up thinking that that was true. But then until I finally actually started allowing myself to interact with guys, I realized that yeah, guys do tend to, like, if you're an attractive woman, of course, if they're available, they will try to pick you up in one way or another, but that's not a bad thing. What you do is you let the guy know that you're not interested, and usually that's the end of it. In my personal experience, that's how it's worked. Like as soon as the dude finds out that I'm taken, he leaves me alone. Or if I tell him that I'm simply not available or I'm not wanting that, he leaves me alone. But the girls I was surrounded by made it seem like they were being bugged about this. And I have to just take that with a grain of salt. I think that the story, of course, was being dramatized to make her seem like she was innocent. But yeah, any girl who tries to act like the deed is not in her head, she's definitely lying too. Because sometimes when I'm at the gym and in the locker room, I've been hearing conversations of women just talking about it like that, just openly. And I'm like, here we go. What would these girls think like? I bet you that they probably would think just like the people who this guy is talking about, like the girls this guy is talking about. So yeah, that's why I just always am skeptical about this type of thing. But anyway, Number two says men cannot share their feelings. Unless a man continually cries, most women believe him to be cold and unfeeling. They cannot accept the fact that men tend to internalize their feelings much more than the women and therefore consider most men selfish. The other side of this particular coin is the fact that if a man actually does show his feelings too often, he is then assumed to either be gay, putting on a phony show in order to get sympathy, which leads to the deed, or is not a real man after all, but only a baby. We cannot win this one because the fix, for want of a better term, is in. Either we fall on this issue, but either way we fall on this issue, we lose. And that makes sense because honestly, I hear it all the time, and even women say this too, which is, this one guy is just so sensitive, so weak. They automatically visualize that as weak. And like I said, I have a very troubled past when it comes to my relationships and also my friendships. I used to think this way too. I used to think that guys just had to be strong and they couldn't express emotion or cry or anything. But then when you actually um, when you actually become more pragmatic about it, you realize that this stuff is just not true. Men are still human, and for some reason we act like they're not. And it's particularly true, the internalizing part. I did not understand that until I dated my second boyfriend and my third boyfriend, and that's all they kept saying. They're like, this is just something that I process inside of me. Like, I don't I'm not vocal about it. Just because I don't say anything doesn't mean that I don't feel anything. And to me, that never made sense. But when I read it like this, coming from the point of view of a man, it makes so much sense. And it's true. I've seen this, and guys have told me this firsthand. And I personally, if I'm looking for a potential mate, if you display traits like this in excess, I will think of you as someone who is not really, what can I say, stable or probably able to handle a relationship. Because this goes against the vision of my man is strong and this and that I have. But at the same time, I know now to be careful about it because, uh, the labels of him being gay or trying to get attention or something, that's simply not true. Like, so it's true when the guy concludes it with, either way we fall in this issue, we lose. And it sucks because it shouldn't have to be that way. But that makes this particularly tricky. And I'm just glad that I can see it now, that I actually listen and I actually read, because I was so full of my opinion that I realized that those opinions were not even my own. They were other people's influences, and mainly it was other women's influences who had problems with their relationships, and they wanted me to see that no matter what I do, a relationship with a man is going to suck, period. But it wasn't until I started being myself and having my own experiences that I was like, you know what? No. If stuff went wrong in your relationship, that is your business. You are not me. So therefore, you're not indicative of what my experience is going to be like. So it's really important that you learn to identify when your opinion is your own versus under someone else's influence. Number three, it is men's nature to lie to women. Here again is an example of female assumptions regarding the activities of men. Since men tend to internalize feelings, they also do not tend to provide minute by minute narratives on their activities. A woman will interpret this internalization as covering up something insidious. Therefore, the man must be lying if we are asked what we are thinking while watching a game on television, for example. We may respond that we are thinking about some aspect of the game. It is assumed by the woman that this must be a lie because thinking about a game, masculine as this might be, has nothing to do with the deed, oppression of women, molestation of children, and adultery. Therefore, the unfortunate game watcher is, according to women, a liar. Again, this is absolutely insane to me. I cannot imagine a life where no matter what kind of activity I'm doing, my thoughts are being assumed for me. And no matter how much I insist that you are incorrect, you're trying to engrave into me that I am not telling you the truth just because what you expect to hear from me is not what I'm telling you. Like, it's almost like we don't seem to look at men as humans, too. You know, it's kind of weird that women are like this. Number four, men do not like kids. Unless a man is totally involved in the everyday care of his children, women believe that he does not like them. It doesn't matter what that he takes them to places and plays games with them, not to mention provides for them. There will come a time when he has to make the choice between going to work and staying home with the kids. If he decides to go to work, he is a child hater. Of course, on the reverse side of the coin, if he chooses to stay home and care for his kids, he is a deadbeat and a poor provider. Here again, there is no winning on this one. Again, for me, I find that men are just as excited about parenthood as women are. So to hear this, it's like, you know what? It makes sense because I have heard this time and again from women who apparently don't seem to really do well handling the stresses of being a parent, especially a new parent. So they want the guy to be more involved. But at the same time, I'm like, if you want to live a comfortable life, you have to work. If you had kids and you're not physically able to work, then someone has to bring the bread to the home. And in this case, that's what your man can do. But if you, on top of him being the brain winner, if you want him to also do childcare and in the process help you, you have to be able to do something as an adult, as part of the relationship, as the mother. So to me, it's crazy that you are also asking for your man to be actively involved in child caring, but at the same time be at work making money. Money does not arrive like it doesn't grow on the trees in your backyard. Someone has to go out there and do stuff and get it. And in this case, it's your guy. So it's insane that I hear women just making this complaint, oh, my guy is not involved with the kids, therefore he hates them. Like, no, just because he's not vocal about it and touchy feeling about it doesn't mean that his perception of parenthood is not there. Like, his love for his children is not there. It's just that he expresses it differently. And the way that he expresses it differently is by making sure that he shows up to his shift so that y'all can still have a home to get back to. I get it. And I'm not even married. I don't even have a house. But to me, this all makes sense. It's just crazy to me. Number five, once the kids are raised, men are no further use to women. This one is all too often sad but true. If the particular woman in a man's life has her singular goal, the procreation and raising of children, then once this has been accomplished, the man might as well be a piece of furniture for all the attention he will receive. Her complete attention will be to the kids, then to her friends, and finally to her social contacts. The man, if he's still around, does not rank a batted eye. He might as well move into the basement or garage and at least get some peace and quiet. And this is particularly painful because I heard it so close to me, so close to home. And it's pretty much, I hear it from every single woman, or at least every child loving woman. Because let's face it, not every woman love kids the same. But I often hear this, which is, my kids are my priority. It's all for my kids. It's all about my kids, my kids, my kids, my kids. I get it. It is important for you to be a responsible parent. You cannot be negligent. That is illegal and just straight up messed up. But at the same time, you cannot forget that you are in a relationship, that you are married, that you have a man who also wants you and needs you, and you have to take care of him, period. Because if you don't, someone else will, and then you'll be mad that someone else does. But not only that, it's just the basic, most decent thing to do. You cannot just forget that there's a world out there beyond your kids and beyond your phone and your girlfriends and whatever. Like, don't forget about your guy because he's already doing a whole lot for you. And a lot of it is unpaid and thankless. Like, anything that breaks down in the house, you can count that he's either going to be on it or he's going to be the one getting the resources for it to be fixed. So the least you can do is be appreciative, and on top of being appreciative, being there for him, giving him attention as well. He certainly gives it to you. He certainly gives it to the kids. Y'all are not neglected by him. Why is it okay for you to get away with neglecting the man just because he is the man? Like, quite the opposite. I would want to be even more involved with my man because it's already tough to be a parent, but to increase his burdens, to me, that's just disgusting. It's a whole nother level of shameless. And it's insane because, like I said, I heard this. I have experienced this when it comes to hearing this myself. This is not someone telling me this. It's I have heard women in their circle just saying, my kids come first. It's always about the kids. And I'm like, you cannot forget about your man. You simply cannot. Because then he's going to leave and you're going to try to trap him. You do not have a right to keep a man trapped by your side if you are neglecting him physically, emotionally, and, it's just, you need to get it together. There's just no excuse for you. Um, Now, to the meat of the matter, the lies women claim they never tell. Women never lie to men, as we shall soon see. This is perhaps the most blatant falsehood of them all. The chief problem with this particular statement is that of perception. Most women believe that, unlike men, they are psychologically and morally incapable of telling lies. That the things they tell men are merely defense mechanisms designed to protect them from pain and suffering which men perpetually inflict upon them. Therefore, a woman can look at a man straight in the eyes and, without a morsel of remorse, tell him a lie, thinking all the while that what she is telling him is the complete truth, or at the very least, a smokescreen to keep him off balance. Now, with this one, this is particularly tricky because for me as a teenager, to my first two boyfriends, I used to lie the hell out of them all the time. Like, I would just tell them lies, period. Especially given that we were distant. I just felt like I had no commitment to them whatsoever. And I can laugh about it now because at least they have their separate lives now. I have my own life now. We're doing fine. We were young back then. But fortunately, in my personal experience, I realized that that's just wrong. I like to protect my integrity because I would like for that to be reciprocated for me. But it is true, women can lie. Women do lie. That is a no brainer. And any woman who tries to act like they don't lie and you can sense it in your gut that they're lying, you're probably right. Honestly, in my experience in relationships as an adult, I do not lie. I just know that that's going to bring problems. I just like to tell my guy if there's something particularly dangerous or challenging going on, I just tell him because he is going to find out later and that's going to make the matter so much messier. And how about if you just face it? And if you're really a strong couple, you're going to overcome challenges no matter what they are. So if I look at someone dead in the eye and I say something, you can rest assured knowing that I am telling you the truth because I simply do not have it in me to be telling lies. That would definitely keep me up at night. So I know what this guy is saying by, that we can build up this facade and then go up to your face and just act like that's true, that we don't lie and stuff. No, we do lie. And that is the sad reality of it. And sometimes the only time that I can say I lie in present terms is if I have trouble remembering something and then I end up telling you information that's incorrect. So it's more of a mistake more than an actual deliberate lie. But I do know what it means to be a liar in a relationship. There's just no way that you can trust that person ever again. And honestly, I like to give chances to people if they do lie sometimes because I know that there's some stuff that's just difficult to tell immediately. And sometimes you want to wait until you have your mind together to say it properly and to also be able to deal with whatever possible reaction the recipient may have. That is important. But yeah, it's true. Women lie. Anybody can lie, anybody lies, everybody lies. So this is absolutely true. Looks aren't important. It's what's inside a person that really counts. This one is closely related to money isn't important. It's what is inside a person that really counts. These statements are most often uttered by a woman who has recently ended a bad relationship with a wealthy and or drop dead good looking guy and is on the rebound. Such obviously tainted comments are nothing more than the byproducts of temporary bitterness and should never be taken seriously unless you thrive on pain and confusion. Men who are neither wealthy nor handsome should be particularly wary upon hearing either of these comments. In most circumstances, the woman who makes either or both of these statements will be in the arms of yet another smooth operator with the bank account of Bill Gates and or of the looks of Antonio Banderas before the end of the week, regardless of your efforts. If you happen to believe these lies and actually make an effort to establish a relationship with the woman who says them, you are setting yourself up for a major fall. Beware. And now this one is particularly painful because I have discussed this before. I talk about the things that I value in a relationship and that pretty much win me over. And honestly, I guess because of my upbringing, I can sit here confidently and say that I do focus on the traits of a guy more than anything. For A, I have had unconventional crushes, what I describe as unconventional. And also, I have dated a guy who necessarily was not the cutest guy and he definitely did not have a big bank account, but he was there for me. He was supportive. He helped me a lot. I learned a lot about myself through him that I otherwise wouldn't have. And thanks to that experience, I owe the person I am today in part. But this one is just one of those things that you just have to learn who you are and determine who the person is and what their values are. If this person gives an indication that they are overly materialistic, you can tell that getting together with this person is going to be trouble for you if your financial sector is not particularly impressive and strong. And on the looks department, I just like to remember that my skin from today is not going to be my skin 20 years from now. And that's why I do not just judge a guy too harshly by how he looks. And yeah, sometimes when it comes to the, I guess, dating game, the first thing that you see and know about a person is what's on the surface. Like you see a face, you hear a voice, and of course that may make you more likely to approach someone. But sometimes, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but have you ever seen a person who is incredibly attractive and the moment you start talking to them, you just feel uneasy, you're just not enjoying yourself because your mind made an erroneous association. It said, oh, this person is attractive, they have a soft voice, so therefore this is going to be a sweet person, this is the person, this is it. But then the more you interact with them, you just realize that they're not right for you. You just don't feel right with them. You don't feel like you belong together. You don't have a chemistry or anything like that. So that's why I always say if someone is good looking, look, I don't have a low self esteem, all right? But sometimes I worry that by dating a handsome guy, I am going to be making other females gravitate toward him, and I am not the competitive type. So I do not fight for a relationship if there's someone who's trying to get in between. Like sometimes, depending on the guy's behavior, the guy's reaction, like how do you respond to someone flirting with you when you're with me? That will determine whether or not I bother with trying to be territorial and be like, this is my man, stay away. Or if I just let you go right there and I tell the girl, you can have him. Like, seriously, I am not kidding. I am not wasting my time with someone who is not going to give me my place. And that's why I sleep comfortably at night. I trust in my man. And that's what I would expect from him. If he sees that someone is trying to pick me up, he can examine my reaction, my responses. And if I'm failing him, he has a right to leave me right there and there because I'm no good for him. And that is all right. That'll teach me a lesson. That'll teach me to respect my man, to give him his place and avoid disasters like this. But I am not trying to live a life full of drama when it comes to relationships and dating. If my guy is going to be the kind who does not respect me, I to be with him. I don't have to stay on that. So, anyways, when it comes to that one, I just like to be careful because I know that money really, at the end of the day, doesn't buy happiness for everybody. I know that for me, it doesn't. It gives me peace of mind. Like having extra money is like, okay, if my car breaks down, I can do something. But me ambitioning it, especially on a materialistic level, it simply does not attract me. So if you're a guy who has a lot of resources, I would be somewhat uncomfortable, and it's more in the sense of what kind of psychology do you have? Because sometimes when people have money, power, a position, fumes get to the brain. And I am a person who's not compatible with that mindset. That's what I'm worried about. But if you're a guy who has resources and you're there to share them and also just ensure stability in your life, and you're not all about showing off to the world that you have material goods and that you get to go on trips every weekend or something, then you're good. But if you focus on amassing all this wealth just to give a name for yourself, I'm not comfortable with that. And I am not interested in being your model, if that makes sense. So yeah, you guys, I see that I'm starting to lag in the stream, and of course, there's so many more points to go. But at least I want to read some of your comments and see what you guys are saying, so that just in case I crash, I can come back to this later. And then, yeah, but I don't want to not acknowledge you. So let's cross our fingers and hope that I can stay online. Jimmy says you are right. Discussion on matters concerning men and women. Men really can't win, and so I have to just have my own opinion and one-on-one instead of in groups. If a man does not pay child support, he goes to jail. If a woman does not pay child support, prosecutor doesn't care. If a single mother has to pay for her kids, state supports her. Exactly. And you know what you call that? Female privilege. And anyone who says that women are not a privileged group issues and is in denial. Why marry or have kids? It's a lose-lose situation. And you see, when guys have an opinion like that, I get it. I sincerely get it. It is discouraging. Don't worry, guys. Japan already works on AI females. The good point is that when dating a single mother, she'll often say that my kids will always be number one. But who wants to go into a relationship knowing they'll at best be second place? And that, Jimmy, personally, automatically disqualify a guy as my potential partner if I know he has kids, because no matter what, a child unites you with someone forever. That is not something that you can just undo. You cannot erase. Not entering my man with another woman for the rest of my life. When I start my own family, I want to start from scratch. And I want for my man to be able to focus on my home, because this is going to be my first childbearing experience. I will be focused on my household. But if I have to share my guy with his past relationship, I am simply not interested. I am trying to live a stress free, simplistic life Now, if I had a child of my own and the guy has a child of their own, okay, I don't have a platform to stand on. But right now, while I am young and childless, I am trying to be careful. And it's just, I get it. Like I said earlier, you gotta be responsible. A child changes your life. Your sense of responsibility has to be there. Negligence of a child has all kinds of consequences. But if you are too focused on your child to where you cannot handle being able to share the priority spot with a guy and you are claiming to be serious about being committed again, just you need to be able to implement this guy into your personal life along with the kids. If you cannot do that, do not date, period. But of course, women in some circumstances do not do that because they are overwhelmed being a single parent. You know, that makes you more likely to be in poverty if you don't have a stable income, a good career, good payment. You're going to go around looking for men, and you, for some reason, expect for men to be okay with your status of having a child already, especially if this man is childless. How can you have standards looking for a guy who doesn't have any kids, and then they get involved with you having a kid, and you also expect for them to provide for your child when that man has nothing to do with your child. The only way he has something to do with you is because he with that child is because he's dating you, he's with you. And of course, in order to not seem like an a-hole, he has to contribute to the household, including your kids. You know, that's just, it's disgusting. It's a really terrible situation to be in, and that's why I am not interested in someone who already has their life started with someone else. It's not, it's not, I don't want you guys to feel like I am resenting a man for having a child already. It's just that I have my goals in my life, and that would complicate them. And on a social aspect, I cannot be comfortable sharing my man with another woman for the rest of my life. Even if it's not intimate, a child is an important matter, period. I am not going to get in between the mother and the father, period. And then I also wouldn't know how to handle the half siblings relationship. I want a kid. So if I have a child, my children have a half sibling, but they don't get to really live together or be brought up together. Another broken family. Let's say that my marriage with this guy who has a child is successful. There's still going to be some kind of issue because the home is practically broken. They're not bonding as siblings. I can speak from experience. That's what happened to me, and it sucked. So that's what I'm worried about. And the best way to address disaster is preventing it from happening. So, say on that one. Modern women are not worth the time. Self-centered, egoistic, egotistic, entitled, spoiled kids they are, and if she gets bored, she will accuse you of violence and rape, and cops and judge will believe her, not you. 16 minutes late. Statistics show that if women had the chance, they would only date and marry the upper percent, the upper 20% of men, because those are the rich guys. Women don't like other women. Fact. Hi, Zams. Hey, Ian. Good to see you. And Zam, every time you touch your phone, webcam stream is shuddering and freezing, or for me or anyone else too. See, what happens when I touch my phone is that's the way that comments display. And sometimes when you guys send a comment, I guess it's increasing the data on my phone, and then that's what causes a delay. So I'm sorry about that. I used to not have these problems, but I guess my phone is just not aging as well as it used to. But yeah, yes, us guys who have kids already are used up and junk now. Yeah, well, see, again, that's just my personal opinion. That is me, Zamri. There's definitely a woman out there who would be okay with you, who would be able to handle your history, your reality, your present with a child and everything. But for me personally, as someone who is young, still got a lot of maturing to do, still got a lot of experiences to go through, I cannot see myself handling that stuff well. So that's why I'm like, I gotta be careful, you know? So that's really my biggest concern. So um, it's not bad. I'm not saying having children is bad. I'm just saying that on the aspect of relationships and you starting them, that's complicated, especially if you have a lady by your side who doesn't really know how to handle it. And I'm admitting that I would be that woman. I'm that woman who I don't want to deal with the pressure of someone like that, you know? And I guess that's why I even express that it even bothers me to know that a guy has already been with another woman before they have gotten to date me, because guys know that I haven't done anything when it comes to that. So I guess my mindset behind that is I'm afraid that because he has experience, he cannot possibly be excited about it with me. So that's my biggest concern when it comes to my first time, my first experience. It's like I know that I'm probably trying to paint it as the perfect moment. I know it's probably not going to be, but it's a value that I have to protect my mind. It's like when a when a man already has a child and I have yet to have a child, when I expect, I'm going to be excited. But if this is the guy's third, fourth, fifth child, oh, here we go again. So I get it. He's exhausted about his parenting experience, but I'm excited. I wouldn't like for a guy to accidentally, his emotions of being overwhelmed already get in the way. And when it comes to that, I am a sensitive cookie. So if I were to feel that my man is not enthusiastic about our child, that's gonna fucking hurt. So to avoid that, how about if I involve myself with a guy who is a virgin and doesn't have any kids and has never been married before and has never lived with anyone before? And like the older I get, I know that the less likely I am to find a guy like that. But I'm not tripping. I really am not. Maybe I'll learn that from the guy who has the three, four kids to one child, or has had multiple partners, whatever. Maybe that's the guy who's finally going to settle down for me and be like, girl, I've been looking for you all this time. I have all this experience, but you are unlike any other girl that I've had. And I love that because all the other girls that I've had have been frustrating. That to me would be a huge compliment. I would still be kind of uncomfortable because I have to trust his account of the woman was the bad piece in the relationship. What guarantees me that you are really a guy of integrity? I'm taking my chances. And if you have a broad history, that kind of makes me suspicious. But I guess what I'm saying is I will have to cross that bridge when I get to it. Like if I ever end up liking a guy who already has kids and whatnot, what would I do? Would I give him the chance or would I be like, uh-uh? And it's happened already. Like I have been attracted to guys before who I'm like, oh, this guy is all this and that. He's funny. He makes me laugh. I have a good time with him. But then when I find out that he's been, I don't know, divorced or had a child already, oh, you know. But anyways, let's see. Um, Where am I? Well, it was a joke, Sam. I don't even want to get married again. Yeah, I got you. Horror bad. I pretty much know where you're coming from every time I see your comments. But what if a single father whose wife passed away and that's why he has on his kid and himself? Well, in a situation like that, in a situation of a spouse passing away, I'll be all right with that as long as you don't have a child. But if you have a child and your spouse has passed away, I honestly, look, this is going to sound messed up, but I'm just going to say it. I am not interested in raising the child of another woman because the because you will be the parent in custody of your child. You're going to bring that child to my home. He may be a lovely child, he may be amazing, he may be well disciplined. He deserves a home, he deserves a roof, he deserves to be taken care of. I mean, shoot, if I would have lost my mother, I hope that someone picks me up and takes care of me and shelters me and whatnot. But for me personally, when it comes to dating, like I said, I want my own unique, exclusive family. I don't want to share that. And marriage is not just between the man and the woman. When you marry, you're being involved with the family. So I also have to be okay with the family of this child being involved with mine. Like I'm someone who I do not, you guys know it, I just do not handle social situations in the most efficient of matters. And I would be intimidated by the family of this other child because what if they have their values that do not correspond with mine? They're going to have, say, the grandparents are going to have their opinions about how they want for their grandchild to be raised, and I'm like, okay, the father is the one who has custody. They have the ultimate say. But once again, to avoid disaster from happening, how about if I just do not get involved? Period. Until I have my own experience. If I have my own failed marriage or relationship or whatnot, then okay, I gotta own it. But I just do not want to be recycling a family. Put it that way. It sounds harsh, maybe, but again, this is me personally, my opinion. When I voice this, I'm not saying that people have to think my way because of the points that I have brought up, because it's likely that those things that I'm worried about do not even have an impact on the relationship. It's possible. I may be full of crap. And that's why I say I'm immature. I still have a lot of experience to gain. But upon first glance, I would be turned off. Because once again, I have been saving myself for the right guy to start absolutely everything. Start an intimate life, start a family. Why do I need to settle down for someone who already has their stuff started? No, I want for them to be focused on me. It's probably selfish, but I have my reasons for being that way. Focusing is important. And unfortunately, because of a lack of focus, sometimes homes end up broken. And it's like this guy said earlier about how women say that my child comes first. What's to keep that guy from saying my child comes first? Maybe that's his mindset. Why do I need to settle for a guy who cannot make me his priority because he already has business going on? See what I mean? So that is my concern. It's possible that this guy can handle that situation better than a woman. Like when women say, my child comes first, I'm a mother first, and a wife second, or a girlfriend second, whatever. Why can you not be both at the same time? We brag about being wonderful multitaskers. How come we cannot do this? See what I mean? Because I know I cannot handle that burden, I want nothing to do. Whether your ex is still alive or you're a widow or whatever your status is, if you have a child, if you have been married before, as of right now, 2018, given my status and my experience, I don't want to deal with that. Now, as I gain experience and I get older, then I will be able to relate to you. I will have parenting experience of my own. I will be able to handle your kid with my kids. And hopefully, you will be able to handle my kids with your kid. But until then, 2018 Zamri is not ready for you in that situation. That's it. That's all I'm saying, really. So of course, I do intend to vlog for a long time, if not forever. Then this is one of those topics that definitely has the potential to be revisited. And I'm like, all right, guys, you guys remember how I said 2018 Zamri this and that? Well, it's 2000 fucking, I don't know, 25. And I so regret everything that I said. If that happens, you guys know me. I will bring it up. I will say it. So make sure that you stay tuned. Please, for the love of humanity and rational reason, kids like you are. No, I don't think I can physically handle bearing that many. Not only that, but emotionally, that would be quite the strain. Please have kids moderately and responsibly. Yeah, definitely. Only in Alabama. World seems to be heading for the future like in idiocracy. That will happen regardless. I hope not. Presidential was a prick. Evil stepmother. Wow. Zam, you will be fine. It is easy to find a man who has no kids. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I know they're there. But for the sake of the topic, this is how I feel as of right now. And I'm not really stressed at all. I mean, like I said, this is just a topic that I found by accident, and I'm like, oh, I have my opinions on it. This will make a good stream, and then I get to hear what you guys have to say. I once ended up in a fight with a friend because he was thinking I wanted his wife with two kids. Yeah, when he started to choke and then cry, I bursted into big laugh saying, "Oh my God, you are crazy." It's more hard for it's harder for men to find women who don't have kids already, actually. True. That is so true. And it's because I guess this country makes it so easy to turn children into a business. And bringing a child to the world is expensive. And I guess people find out about that when it's a little too late. Can you imagine that? Imagine if you could. Let's just say that let's just say that children really come from, I don't know, God, the heaven, or something. Let's say that you end up bringing a child to the world and you realize that you cannot handle it. Imagine if there was a service in which you can return your child. Like, my child arrived defective. I don't want to deal with this. He's blind, deaf, cannot talk, cannot write, cannot stand, cannot, you know, manufacturer's defect. I need a compensation, you know, or if you realize that, like a car, you can no longer make payments on it. It's like, oh yeah, can I return this child? I don't want to give him up for adoption. That means someone else owns it. I want to completely erase this child from existence. Or say, to take it another step, it's like, there's this person who I want to date, but they don't like the fact that a child already exists. Let me return my child, so that I can be ever so compatible with this person. That would be so messed up. That would be a whole nother level of politics. What do you guys think? I'm just glad that things are the way they are, because I feel like people would definitely try to abuse the service of returning your child to its origin. It's just crazy. Or maybe I'm just really messed up in the head and only I think about this. But I'm sure someone out there has thought about this and they too are messed up in the head, just like me. but but yeah, just be careful with the decisions that you make. I am trying to do just that. That's why I don't have any kids in this house. The only thing I have is a crocodile in the shape of a cat. But but yeah, just be careful. Be honest with yourself. Do not involve yourself in an activity that can complicate your life if you are not ready for the consequences or potential consequences. It doesn't mean that getting laid will automatically mean that you conceive, but the risk is there. Don't do it. So that's where I'm at. La. Let's see. Never saw them again, and we were huge friends. Later, I found out she started it all, spreading rumors that I wanted her. Oh my god, yes! Women do that a lot about just starting BS. Drama. Yeah. I believe you on that. I truly do. I support the ancient Rome law, patria potestas. The man, if the family had to write about life and death of all members of the family. Imagine what that would do in modern days, dude. Like, with all this feminism going on, my decision, my body, my baby, my this and that. I always say it, and I mean it with every fiber of my being. If I end up expecting and my boyfriend is not ready for the child, let's say that I want the child and he doesn't want it, we are going to have a very prolonged, extensive, deep discussion about what we're going to do. My mother has told me to have the kid, but my mom's opinion is based off her spiritual uh, mindset, and also maybe she fears that by me say aborting, I may regret it because she is a woman, she loves kids, was made to deal with kids, like she's a teacher. She truly, genuinely loves them. Maybe she would like to see me reflecting her values in a sense, but she does it subconsciously. But it makes a lot of sense to me why she says that. But also, there's the physical uh, meaning, or sorry, physical risks associated with that. For me, I could lose my life in the process, or my body may not be able to produce a child again. If, say, if I end up expecting now and I'm not ready, so I decide to, you know, get rid of the child, and then in the future, when I'm so called ready, financially stable, with a home, etc., 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 I decide to have a child, I discover that I cannot have them. That will bring a whole new set of problems that, had I decided to just put it off until the time is right, I would not have to deal with such consequences. So it's this matter, the more you dwell on it, the messier and more complicated it gets. So that's why I try to handle it with respect and sincerity, and embrace every single opinion, because I'm not right, but I'm also not wrong. You guys are right, but for certain circumstances, you may be wrong. So you need to know who you are, what works for you and what doesn't. Oh, snap, Zamri finally got the super chat feature. Yes, yes, I did. And I'm so excited about it because you guys have been very, very sweet about it and spoiling me. And oh my God, I see that you contributed, Mr. Bees. I appreciate you. For you, those of you who don't know, special shout out to Mr. Bees, because he has been one of my long term subscribers. Like, do you happen to remember when you subscribed, dude? Because it's been a while. Definitely, you're one of my 2016 folks. So, yeah, I have a special feels for you. Not in a weird way. That's like an abortion of any age of your kids is law. Hi, hello there. To be honest, no one thinks he is 100% ready for a kid. I just tuned in. What is the latest month that you will have an abortion? Honestly, that is a pretty interesting question. I remember discussing this a while back, and basically, the consensus that we arrived during this discussion was that as long as the, is it the stem cell? Yeah, something like that, hasn't developed, then practically no life has been lost. And isn't that like after the second month or something? Shoot, I'm a woman and I should know all this. See what I mean? I am not ready. But I would have to look at the medical recommendation. I would trust reading the medical recommendation about that, because this day and age, there have been plenty of abortions processed to where we know when is riskiest and when you should totally not do it. It's kind of like, what do you call that? V1 when you're a pilot. Once you pass that point, that's the point of no return. You have to commit to take off no matter what, even if your plane is like on fire. So what would the V1 of pregnancy be? I don't know. That's a good question. That makes me aware that I'm not well informed on the matter. But then again, the reason I am deliberately ignorant is because I am taking the absolute precaution to not have to deal with that, which is celibacy, abstinence, lack of action. It's tough because the urges are there. But I have faith that I'm doing the right thing. I'm waiting, and I will not regret having waited. So, but that was a good question. You put me on the spot that I'm just a bad representative of the female population for being an uninformed citizen. It's so silly. It's been a while. LOL. Yes, indeed. I feel like I haven't seen you. But then again, every time I would stream earlier in the day, I would catch you. So, but yeah, it's definitely been a while since you've been subscribed. So, just had to point it out. Yeah, we need the patriarchy back. I have faith in the power of porn. Oh, wait, oh snap. That was hilarious. Oh man. Aren't you guys just grateful that so many resources exist to handle our urges in less risky ways? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's interesting. I'm not, when it comes to porn, of course, I have watched it, but honestly, when I discovered it, it was by accident. It was because there were some files saved in the computer already. Like Windows Media Player had a file saved there, and there was a male living in the house who was older than me. I'm trying to protect his identity, but of course, my information is going to give it away if you've known me for a while. But yeah, I was 13 and then I saw something completely disturbing. I'm like, two people without clothes. If mom sees that I'm seeing this, I'm going to be in so much trouble. Click, cancel, cancel. And the more that I tried to access the Windows Media Player, the more in trouble I got. And back then I wasn't really computer savvy, so I didn't know how to avoid it. But honestly, I guess because of my age, it was shocking. But then when I think about the 13-year-olds back then, who were also in my group, most of these people were already active by this time. So I guess because I was in the dark about the matter, I was a very sheltered child. That was shocking for me. And then I was like, oh boy, I'm in so much trouble. I just kept thinking about how in trouble I am if my mom were to find that out. But it turns out that my mom already knew about what was happening. And then she advised the person who was responsible for me coming across that content, hey, remember that we have a young girl in the house. Make sure that you leave no traces that she can find. And then I was like, oh, that's not so scary. I wish I would have spoken up when I found it back in the day. But anyways, really the times that I watched porn out of curiosity, it didn't do anything for me. Like for some people, I guess it excites them and it really, I don't know, gets you going. It helps you address yourself, address your urges. But for me, it just didn't do it. I felt uncomfortable because the deed is something personal and intimate. And what I was watching was something that was scripted and staged. And I'm like, something that I value as sacred is being treated as a business and casual. It felt like a disrespect to my values. So that's why I never mess with it. And it's just weird to be watching other people do it, you know? Like, I would expect that your interest is to just focus on what you have going on. But if you live a very lonely life and you miss those things happening with you or to you, then I can see why your urge to be a regular porn watcher is there. But for me, it just didn't really benefit me. So honestly, pretty much the last time I messed with that was when I got a little older, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, because I wanted to compare and contrast my behavior from when I was 13 versus being an adult. And I'm like, I still feel as uncomfortable as when I was 13. Like, I would be embarrassed if someone peeked over at my phone screen and they saw what I was watching. I don't want to have to explain that. Not that I have to explain anything in life, but but I don't know. I just find it weird. It's not my thing. So you gotta help it. Thanks. Excel's latest statistics show that women like to watch gay porn. I wonder what women and why. When it comes to that, I would be uncomfortable only because I cannot imagine that kind of intimacy being particularly comfortable. Like, that membrane does not belong in that other entrance. And when I think about it, I can only imagine pain. So, as much as these guys are trying to pretend that they're enjoying it, I guess I would have to be a dude doing that to understand the appeal. But for me, I would be uncomfortable because, like I said, it's not designed to be going into. Oh man, I think I'm gonna crash, guys. To conclude it right here, I'm gonna read that last comment. It is kind of a waste because it does not change too much, just kind of take up your time. You could think of your favorite meal or just rest as that prolong well. Guys, there are women being objectified for money and such, which will never they are not true. All right, guys, I will call this my stopping place. I've already exceeded an hour, and I am very proud of my phone. You guys saw that? It wanted to like threaten to cancel on me, but it didn't, to which I am very grateful. So, yeah, you guys, I will return as soon as I can and continue reading from that article thing. I must post the link to it in the description. So, as soon as I exit the stream, I'll be sure to do that. But thank you guys so much for joining and for Mr. Bees for contributing. And yeah, you guys let me know in the thoughts what you think if you see the stream at a later time. Thanks for the stream, Zim, Team Captain, Equality for Male Porn Actors, Equal Pay. Oh my god, you make me curious now. Now I want to see how the paychecks compare and contrast. I'm not too eager to find out, but you brought it up, so I guess I cannot escape it. I'll look at it, and if I have anything substantial to express, then I will get on that. But, anyways, I'll see you soon.